Hi, thank you for joining us for the next episode of Triggers in Spiritual Medicine. I am your host, Laura Benetsky Gaffney of Healing with Spirit, and I am joined today with a beautiful human, Coco Oya. You are going to want to stay tuned for this feisty, truth telling queen of wisdom who is going to be here. We're going to be sharing some really hard truths, but also going to be bringing the medicine because this is a time in our life right now that it is beyond band aids. And I think if you're tuning in, you're going to realize that we are beyond the band aid stage. We are at let's get down to the root issues, the brass tacks, and how do we move forward. And I met Coco in December at a gathering called Indomitable Spirit. And I think I first met because she was sitting next to me. And I know she was a little uncomfortable, and I brought this, the floor cushions, and I brought an extra floor cushion, and I offered that. And then I didn't really know who she was because she was very quiet, very reserved until the next day. Oh boy, did I get to see a different side of her. And I was like, what? This girl knows how to bring it. And it was really about addressing some hard truths that can be uncomfortable, but in such a beautiful way. And I can't even really recall exactly how to surmise what that experience was. I just remember what I felt somatically and how I felt internally. And I was just like, yes, can we please have more conversations like this? Enough of the putting the mask on and saying the comfortable things to keep us all comfortable while we're really internally breaking, and really address the wounds, really address why we're so sick and why so many of us are just in this state of I want to stick my head back into the sand while we're trying to pull them out of the sand. Is kind of like a visual that I'm seeing, and understanding that, what, the world is going to continue to go, and you sticking your head in the sand is doing nothing for us, for any of us. We're entering a new phase. We're moving from snake energy to shedding, and January is ending with like really the analogy of like really thinking about what it takes to shed a skin, and like birthing and pushing off that last skin has been no joke. So moving into the next 12 months is going to be a lot of action, and it's focused around liberation and embodiment. And this is the energy that Coco Oya is going to be bringing. Welcome, my beautiful friend. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Laura. It feels absolutely perfect to be here in light of how we met, what we need to bring forward, and what needs to be spoken now. So I'm delighted.
So, would you like to share kind of your experience of how we met and what kind of brings out like the feistiness where you kind of pulled yourself back a little bit?
So I consider myself a mystic, and the call to go to this event in Massachusetts wasn't a logical thing. I didn't fully know Lisa. I looked her up, and then we had a conversation for 4 hours. And as she was speaking about the things, it was because she'd read two pieces of mine, which were quite in your face around gathering in sisterhoods and us not looking at the deeper things, particularly around race, identity, and just ownership of harm that has been done down the lineages, and that it needed to be felt, and that Black, brown, and Indigenous women need to be fully heard in those circles, and so that the deeper healing can be done on the other side of what ancestral lineage, the things that we don't really want to look at. And so when Elisa was talking about that and just said that she read my pieces and, they really inspired her, I just thought, I need to be there. And like you say, the first day I got there, I was like observing because I didn't know anybody. I knew one person who I'd met like 12 years previously when I went to do some Tantra training in Massachusetts. That's who I knew. And so I'm an observer, and as a mystic, I feel the atmosphere in the room and I feel energy. And so I kind of read the room and I thought, right, we're kind of setting the tone. We're going to go in tomorrow. Tomorrow came, and I thought, what is going on here? They were still in that really light, just getting to know you. And I thought, when is the work going to start? when are we getting down to the thing that we discussed? And so it just never happened. And I could feel the frustration like rising in my body, and just all the feeling, all the ancestors in the room thinking, it needs to be done now. And so I thought I was feeling my own ancestors, but then women were coming up to me going, I thought this was going to be something different. I thought this was going to be something different. And I thought, well, I don't know. And then I just burst into tears because I could just feel all the emotion. And then I was comforted by an elder in the room. And then when I allowed that to leave my body, it was like, no, I need to speak to Elisa now, right now. And to this day, I have no idea what came out of my mouth, but I knew it was fire, as in, we are not doing this way. I did not fly from the UK to do the same, singing and dancing and la 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 la. It's just not happening. And so, granted, she really took in what I was saying because I knew I was channeling at that time. And as you know, I carry the mother essence, the essence of the deep feminine that's coming into play now, that is shifting and up leveling everything on the planet. And so when that came through, I knew that she'd really heard me, and she centered me in the room with herself, just being her in conversation, and she just allowed me to be witnessed and to channel the mother and the message that I needed to give in that room, which was, we have got to stop fucking about now. Now is the time, because as you said, this year that's coming is a real transition year. And as we've seen, it is started with a bang, with all the turbulence, all the essence of what no longer needs to be here being highlighted for us to take action, not to go into fear about it, but to take action. And so when that came through, I just knew that, yeah, since that event, so many people have come to me around, wow, what was that? Because like you said, it was a somatic feeling. We are moving out of the head into the body, and it's not about necessarily digging around in the dirt now and looking at the thing. We've been doing this for millennia, centuries, decade upon decade. We know the story of what is not fit for human consumption. We don't need to chew it over anymore. What we need is to fully feel it, alchemize it in our bodies, and transform it into energy, into passion, into fuel, so that we can get the thing done that needs to be anchored in here now at this time. And it was such an honor to speak in front of like 100 and I think it was 40 odd women, at that level of gnosis, at that level of knowing, at that level of truth, that this year is a catalyst year, and we are being catalyzed into a deep remembrance. And with that, it means being able to hold oneself in one's embodiment and not lose one's mind, because those are like the options right now.
Right. I mean, like, when you can look at all the elements that are playing, and especially in spiritual communities, we have been conditioned, at least from what I've seen as a white body person, We have been conditioned to love and light things away. We have been conditioned to pain can be just alchemized.
Mhm.
Like there's a magic wand and it's gone. We've taken ancient practices from various indigenous cultures and we have moved them into places where it's like the greatest addiction for a high of moving, and yet we're not getting to where it's just another placating thing. And so when I witnessed that, as somebody who witnessed that whole thing, I was like, this is what a women's circle is supposed to be about. And so, like, and it doesn't mean like we have to be mean to each other. It's not about
Mm-mm.
that. It is still, it's about truth. It's about authenticity. It is about breaking down barriers. It's about let's have real conversations instead of constantly bypassing it, right? Or like what I've been having with a lot of people about how do we create safe spaces, which is something I have been doing for a very long time in spiritual spaces, is talking to people about safety. And you cannot have safety without, you cannot have diversity and inclusion without safety, right? And you can't have, and if you don't know what that is, and all these other layers. And so I really, really appreciate it. And, I would love to dive more into, if you're okay, with just that whole concept of women's circles and what are we going from what was
Mhm.
and how do we need to shift into.
Into this new sense of
Yeah,
embodiment.
right.
There's a few layers to this because we've been so conditioned out of our truth as women. We live in a world. We swim in the waters of a world where the true feminine has been feminized, and those are two different things. Femininity is a man-made construct around womanhood. It's that sense of women are the weaker sex, women are this, women are that, women should be meek, women should not really speak up, women are not as powerful as men. But we need to look at what real power is, because it's not about physical power that we're moving into now, and this is the understanding of what we're moving into is an embodied power, an embodied knowing, an embodied sense of being, where we are able to come forward with gnosis, which is our deeper wisdom, which works in conjunction with life. Because at the minute, power means power over, not power with. And this is where we're moving to, in not just in our circles but in life in general, because in our circles, because we've bought into this power over narrative, there's been competition, there's been colluding, there's been criticism, there's been wounding around sisterhood, motherhood, so many things where we felt that we've had to be vigilant, where we felt that we've not been able to, like you said, surrender to each other so that we can create safety and just speak at a level of truth at heart. And so what we're moving into is this ability to just be with what is, to be with the full truth, to speak it and know that we have the capacity to hold it, because we've kind of gone into this almost like whimsical kind of notion that it's going to be painful, or to a point where we'd rather just soothe emotion rather than actually feel emotion. And so the soothing has to stop. It's like we're not babies anymore. We are women. And women, for me, means that we have a direct connection through our own anatomy of our bodies, our wombs, are micros of the macro. of the Great Mother, of life, of creation itself. So we hold a lot of power in our bodies as women, but we kind of lost the art of what it means to be fully anchored in that. And I believe that we are each a tuning fork, which is why when I spoke from that level of full truth embodiment, it vibrated out into the circle and everyone got it. Even if they didn't fully understand the language, they understood the frequency of truth and
Oh, yeah.
that this is about owning your full power and capacity as a woman. And what was also beautiful in that space is that there was one gentleman, one male body, but he also got and understood what the feminine is in truth.
Mm.
Because the feminine isn't about gender, it isn't about just female and male. It is an essence, it is an energy, it's a frequency that has been like decimated out of our like full gnosis and understanding on the planet, and everything became masculine male orientated, and that is out of balance now. It's just gone way wild, you know. And the
Mm.
feminine is coming back with full force to show us where we dislocated from our hearts, we dislocated from our sensitivity, from our feeling, from our ability to express emotion, and we got up in
Yeah.
the mind. Emotions don't live in the mind, they live in the body. We
Yeah. I
feel
mean,
them.
let's go back to what it means to feel, because I think that is something I know from working with people. We go, but I feel depressed. I feel anxious. I feel this. And I go, that is so much in the head that we have
Mm-hmm.
been conditioned. And we're not only that, but we're attaching a label to it. And when I ask folks to, well, what does that feel in the body? Because feeling is actually physical, it's not
Mm-hmm.
emotional. And I think we have mixed up the two,
Yeah.
right? And because feeling, when I go, well, what does it feel like in the body? And then you go, well, I have tightness in the shoulders. I can't breathe. I have, my stomach is doing this right now. And I go, okay, well, that is feeling. That, and I go, that is something we have been disconnected in
Mm-hmm.
understanding. Like what you're talking about is feeling. What does feeling feel like?
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing of tapping into the sensation, because we've been tuned out of our sensitivity. And when we tap into the feeling, then the emotion can be released, because so much of our triggers, so much of our fear of feeling is around the fact that we think it's going to hurt, because the original misdemeanor probably hurt, and it probably hurt. Many of us are carrying um, ancient wounding, not just from this lifetime, but other lifetimes, and also from when we were pre verbal. And so we can't use the mind to feel that. It's impossible to get into those deeper wounds and deeper triggers unless we get into the body and feel. And I realised that I was doing that yesterday with some really big emotions. I could feel myself like almost like running around in a maze in my head. And then I've just thought, just stand still and drop in your body and just feel it. And then the tears came, and then it came, and then I could feel it, and then it came, and it rised and it rose. And yes, did it feel bad? Yes. And then after the emotion moved, the wave of energy moved, it was gone. And this is how easy it can be, that when we allow ourselves not to get on the ride of the story of what most people do is they'll feel something, then it'll remind them of a whole old wound, then they'll attach it to a story, then they'll go back into the head and think of the story, and then by the time they've like thought about the person or whatever it was attached to, they've disconnected from the body, from the feeling. But they think that because they've become aware, that they're actually feeling, but awareness is not feeling. Awareness
Right.
is just awareness.
So that brings me to another topic of your book,
Mm-hmm.
Mother Bones, because that
It's
really goes into everything you're talking about right now, right? It goes
yeah.
into that embodiment and feeling plus your story. Can you You willing to share about that?
I am. So this is my book. It's probably back to front, which it says Digging for Mother's Bones, a guide to unearthing true feminine nature. And that book asked to be written by me because I was a non feeler. I thought I was a feeler because I'm hypersensitive, but I wasn't allowing myself to move beyond the sensitivity into the realm of actually dealing with my emotions. And the book is part memoir and part manifesto to humanity around the presence of the Divine Mother that came to me after a near death experience because I didn't want to be on the planet, basically. And after I crossed over, this force of the mother came to me and basically said, there is no judgment. If you want to go, you can go, but I want to show you why you came. I want to show you what the whole why you've been through so much trauma, why had so much adverse circumstances, what it is that you've come to learn about them, and the message you've come to bring to humanity. And it was all about healing the mother wound, one in myself because my mum died at the hands of my father, which I write about in the book, and coming to a sense of forgiveness and understanding about that, and also why I had such a deep mother wound, and then speaking about the collective message of why the world's so fucked up because we've disowned the aspect of the mother, the very thing of creation, the very embodiment of mother that is in woman, that we treat them like second class citizens. We've severed ourselves from the nourishment of life. And so I write deeply about that, and I write deeply about the message and the sense of the mother world that she showed me, why we're going through this cataclysmic time now, why the cosmic clock is turning, and why this is such a pivotal year between now and 2032, which is when we fully go into a new era. You know, this is the fall. We are in a really unprecedented time. You know, this is the end of an era, like when we came out of medieval times and crossed into Renaissance, and you know, it's just the collapse of a time, and so we built so many things that were anti-life. I mean, when we really sit and feel about the amount of wars, the amount of abuse, the amount of torture, the amount of just batshit craziness that has happened on this planet that we've all become so numb to, we can't now because it's been highlighted in a big way of hello, you can go no further. This is the end of the road when it comes to living like this. It's against human nature. Our true human nature is love. It's and it lives in the body. It's not in the mind. It's not this extractive like consumption that has happened and taken place where we've just extracted from the earth with blindly to the point where there's just too much here. You know, we become unconscious. And this is about the raising of consciousness and what's happening as these energies come in. As we've both said, this week, oh my lord, the amount of like light that's been like penetrating into the body is like it has shaken up so much, and people will have been feeling so much of their old stories, and we have an option here to buy into those or to know that they're coming to be released. And we
Yeah.
also have an option of knowing that they're there because it's time to feel the deeper things and
I
allow them
think,
to be alchemized so that we can use that as fuel for the next phase that is coming, because this is it now, guys.
yeah,
You know,
right.
astrologically there is so much going on which you can talk to as well, that it's like it's not just a thing that's happening. The whole universe is shifting. The whole cosmos is shifting.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm like done with the band-aids. I'm like, can we just get to the next phase? Like, I'm ready for that, you know? I think it's because I have been in my own stuff for so long that I'm just like ready for that next phase, you know? Um, what what led you to the title, the mother digging for mother bones? Like those words, that title is so says so much.
Um, the title came to me as much of the book did as well. Um, a lot of it was channeled. I mean, for almost a year after my near death experience, I just sat and wrote. And I wrote for myself initially. I just wrote because I wanted to make sense of what just happened. I knew something big had happened. And I knew that this force, this energy that came to me was universal love incarnate. It was like the drop of the ocean that like ignited me into a deep remembrance about the fact that many of us have come at this time to assist in this energetic shift into a new era, and that I had come to bring a message and to be a leader in that also. And underneath all that, I had to work out why I became a woman that ended up in a violent relationship, why I became a woman that followed my mother's footsteps in relating in that world, why I could never feel that safe in the world as a woman, why I didn't fully understand my body. Just there were so many questions of, well, why, what is happening here, and the remembrance of being a young child and being so sensitive and so traumatized, but also knowing that there was a divine force and saying to that, you told me we were coming to the land of milk and honey. What is this hellhole? What the fuck is this? Do you
Right?
know? So it was like I had so many questions about what happened between masculine men and women. Why are we at war with each other? Why is the war? What is this conflict? What is going on? Why don't people live from the soul? Why is there so much trauma and abuse in the world, particularly sexual? Why, yeah, like I said, why do women not understand that their bodies are, designed to plug into cosmic forces and bring through wisdom for the collective? What is going on here? So writing all that and channeling these messages, um it was like unearthing the sense of what is life, what is God, really, and digging underneath all the conditioning and all the distortion and all the inversion that had happened in the planet, where it came that we thought that women were birthed out of a man's body. It's like, how is that even possible? Out of the rib of man, and that God became male. The creative force is not masculine, I'm sorry to say, but it's not. It has a feminine essence. And when we remember that in our body, it's like nature. It's like being plugged back into nature. And nature is a creative force. And it also has a masculine structure, but the sense of creation, the blossoming, the blooming, the shining, the radiance is
Mm.
feminine in nature. And we need to remember that we live on a Mother Earth planet, but we have a masculine Earth essence that assists in the structure of that. And that is the full nature of life. And that is the full nature of our bodies. We live in a cyclical sense. We're connected to nature, to the seasons, to the Fibonacci sequence. It is a spiral. And we've become so linear that we forgot our divine roots.
Yeah, I think, it's so interesting because, just even going through my own journey, the deeper I went, I thought I was healing, and the grief, and I was healing my own roots, and then I find a next level of grief or a different type of grief would surface. And I think it circles back to like what initially we started talking about was like some groups and circles that would do things, but it was all surface, or it was very exclusionary, and it wasn't done with intention. It was done based on conditioning and cultural conditioning and patriarchal conditioning and colonizer mentality, and it was all hidden. It wasn't shown openly, but and it's brought me a lot of grief because I just feel like I can't be a part of that conditioning. And so that duality and wave of how do we move forward. And so one thing I've learned, like with that circle, is I kept saying, universe, you need to start bringing me people that we all have this together. You need to start helping and bring all of us here. You're saying that we are anchors. You're saying that we are here to birth this new place. We are here to be those people. Then you need to also help bring us together, right? Because I felt similar to you. It's like, why did I go through this as a child, and then this as a teenager, and then this, all this trauma? And then I realized last year, I said, it was because it was preparing me for the times that we're in now. It was 100% preparing me, because there's certain things that you can't learn in a Zoom call. You can't learn, through theory. You actually have to apply it. You have to really get into that vulnerable space, like where you were at, right at that threshold, to finally get, now I get it. Now I get it, right? And that is not an easy place to be, right? What would be, thinking about that, like I keep thinking about the things, and what would be the things that you would want folks to know moving forward? Like, what would be, if you could just like boom and bring that through again, that part of you, right? That channel, what would that point be, that humanity, the world, like, what is that thing that the world needs to hear?
Wow. Many things. Many things.
And I guess I didn't do it, maybe
No,
not.
no, no. I'll just let me drop it in a second. That this is it, folks. Many in the spiritual community, we have been waiting for this time. This is the time that you've probably felt an inkling of, I know I'm here for something more, but I don't know what the more is. This is the more. This is the time to forget the ways of the mind, to go into the body, because there are two distinct essences and energies at play here, dark and light, as in, should I say dark and light? No, because actually the dark and light I'm talking to that came through just now is the sense of yin yang. There is a balance between that, the darkness of the feminine and the lightness of consciousness. But what's been laid on top of that is a distortion. And we've all been fed into that distortion, which has caused the absolute mayhem that we see outside in the world. And the way back in is through the body. And as Laura said, there are many techniques in my book around, particularly for women, getting anchored into the body, remembering what the essence of your body is, so that you can hear the voice of your soul that is coming forward to to activate you at this time to remember what the part is that you're meant to play here now in this remembrance, because as I said earlier, the speed of change is going to escalate as we move through this year. And the things that we relied on, where we siphoned and abandoned our power and gave it to governance outside of ourselves, is going to shift. And we need to remember that we are the sovereign beings, we are the governance of ourselves. And that is what is being asked for now. All this energy that you're probably feeling now, that is moving things in you, bringing up old memories. It's not so that you can panic about, it, or think that you're going back downhill or that it needs healing. It doesn't need healing. You're not broken. You are whole and complete. It needs witnessing, it needs honouring, it needs holding, and it needs alchemizing. And if you don't know what any of those words means, just go into your body now and just feel a sense of, who would I be without the stories I've been told about myself or the conditioning that I've been told to follow? Who am I without all those layers placed upon me? And underneath all that, you are whole. That's one thing I learned from my near-death experience, that I am whole and I carry a resonance and a frequency that is uniquely me. And we've lost ourselves as of uniqueness. And I wrote an article a while ago for Sacred Spirit. I can give you the link, and it's all about this collective dark night of the soul and what we can do to move through it and how we can plug into our unique essence, because it's going to be more than crucial that 100% what you stand for, what you value, who you are, how you feel in your own body. Because as these energies lighten and shift and change, and AI comes in more and more of the force, outside forces trying to dominate us, if you don't know who you are or how you feel or what you stand for, you're going to get swept along in all the destruction. And that's not what many of us are here for. We're meant to be at the forefront. We're meant to be feeling into and connecting, like you said, bringing us all together now.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I went there, it wasn't a logical thing. I spoke to Elisa on the Sunday and I was in
Right.
America on the Wednesday, and people going, it's not going to happen. You've not got the visa. You've not got this. You've not got, and I just went, I know I'm going. I am going there because I don't know who I need to meet there, but I need to meet this. I am being called there. And this is the thing, when we feel that call, that impulse to move.
Yeah.
Don't go in the mind and think it doesn't make logical sense. We are moving out of the head, out of logic, out of this sense of we need proof first, into the sense of we don't need to see it to know it. We feel it, and then we see it.
That's so beautifully said.
Yeah.
So
And
beautifully
that takes
said.
going into the body and remembering that your sensitivity is a gift. It doesn't always feel like that because we have been conditioned to numb. But the ones that are the most sensitive are the ones that are feeling the impact of this essence and this energy coming in. And like I was saying, the last few days, it's been knocking me off kilter. I've had to learn to ground back into my body and sense a bigger capacity of myself, because I thought, whoa, these energetic rays that are coming in are powerful. And yeah, you will be feeling disorientated in the body. You may want to eat differently, and you may want to sleep more. And it's like, imagine the exponential growth of babies when they grow so fast and they change on a cellular level. That's what's happening to us now. So it's like 10 to the body. As much as this is about coming out of a sense of just being physical and moving more into a sense of being energetic beings and having emotional bodies as well, we need to tend to the body because this is the vessel that is going to hold all that energy. And I have had to make sure I tell myself to drink more fluid because it just takes, it's like burning up a lot of energy. It's like the cynic, how I liken it is everything in this world has a parallel and has a, like an opposite, like a distorted view. And if we think
Mm.
of as humans, we are becoming more conscious. We're going to step into greater gifts around telepathy, around our senses, around our psychic abilities. All the clairs are going to come online. And it's almost like the thing that AI can do, bring an information out of the ethers. And we know how much water AI takes to just
Right.
to get, this is what's happening in the body. As we turn from carbon to crystalline to taking more information, we need a shit ton of fluid to be able to, because we are water, and the plasmic like essence of this energy that we're bringing in is like the waters of life.
Mm.
And so we are attuning to the true waters of life. And again, to do that, we need to flush everything out of the body. You know, you will be purging, you will be, you know,
Right.
yeah, just releasing, letting things
Some
go
some
to
some
the
call it
create
spiritual
moment.
flu, right?
Yeah, to bring it all in. So, and it's like we need to get out of the mind as well that, you know, this is something again to fix when we
Right.
allow the process to happen. And I'm not saying please seek medical attention if you need to,
Mm.
but also know that there's a process going on, as particularly if you're very spiritually sensitive at the moment. And someone described it really beautifully for me yesterday. Was that yesterday? I have no idea of time at the minute. Because I was having like, for a minute, and I'm not saying I'm fallible to it, because for a minute I was having a, why? Why did I sign up for this? What is this about? I just want it to stop. And someone said, Coco, you know, I'm learning to sail right now, and there's always a lookout, or there's always a person at the, I can't remember what, a way shower that looks out and sees the land and then reports back to the rest on the vessel. And that's
Mm.
just your position. Just get over it. You know, you're a front runner, and it's gonna feel, you're gonna feel the energies more intently and
Right.
intensely. And
And
so I
boy, did we.
reframed intense today as in tension, inner tension. And can I
Ooh,
hold the tension between the old and the new in my body? Can I
inner
really
tension.
sit with that inner, inner, yeah, like the archer, oh,
Right.
pulling back the bow of the string and really looking at the target of where we're going, really keeping that as my focus, but knowing that that tension of pulling back the bow is a skill that I'm
Hmm.
learning in my body, rather than seeing it as, oh my God, it feels really uncomfortable. Oh my God, my body's aching. Oh my God, oh my God. It's like, right, I am attuning my body to this new frequency, and it feels really uncomfortable because there's still old patterns and stories in there that need flushing out. And can I really hold that as a clear intention rather than thinking, oh, something's happening to me?
So I have a question for you. Is it
Yeah.
okay we talk? I would love to try to find a way, if possible, to bridge some of that experience that we did, where those who might be listening that are white can really sit and embody something that maybe you want to speak to your black sisters. And I actually even pulled open, just I would like to just read a couple of the sentences you wrote in the book
Oh,
Gather.
is that the book Gather?
Yeah.
That is an extraordinary book, actually. There's
So
a
this
lot
is
of
where it says here, it says, Black sisters taking up space, what your presence brings. I've been sitting in sister circles of one form or another for 20 years. Small and intimate affairs where friendships or bonds have formed. Throughout that time, I've often been the only black woman in that space. Yet it never really occurred to me that that was the case. I had blinded myself to that fact, possibly because I have lived that reality throughout my life since childhood, living predominantly in a white country. However, this was brought to the forefront of my reality in August 2024 while attending an event for over 200 women. It was the first time I became acutely aware of being the only black woman in a space and having an overwhelming feeling of unsafety in my body. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that was such a pivotal moment for me because I realised that something is really wrong in our sisterhood communities when at the time everyone was talking about inclusion and we're equal and our spaces are open for everyone, and I thought that can't possibly be because I still would not 20 years later be the only black person in a room of women and it not even be acknowledged. Or we're using tools of indigenous cultures without even acknowledging who they are. Or I wouldn't be feeling all the unprocessed ancestral stories of you, of the other women, if that was the case. It was like, why are we still just on the surface talking about the same things but in a different way? It's like when you get into a relationship pattern, it's like you end up with the same person but different circumstances, and it just felt like that. Thought, we are not doing the work we're supposed to be doing. And then and then it was just a hit of, we need to really hold the ancestral stories of the past that are ugly. Because if I'm feeling, because what happened is when I walked into that building, it was a building of a philanthropist, and he'd built the building using slaves and slave trade. So I felt all that when I walked into the building, and I saw like people being hung from the rafter. It was just like I had such a
Wow.
visceral thing of feeling so many times like it was like, holy shit, what is happening?
Was that
But
here or
what
was that in the UK?
that was in the UK, and there were race rights and things going on at the time, which I'll speak about in the book. But then what happened was, I just then it was like I felt my lineages and ancestors, but then it was like all the white women's lineages and ancestors started coming to me in the space. And so I had to take myself out into the garden. And then luckily, one of the women saw me and I explained to her what I was seeing. And then she was one of the facilitators and she just spoke to me and just went, I am sorry for what my ancestors had done. And then we just saw a whole thing of where white women in particular during many many times had given away their ability to um, tend to themselves or tend to their children because black slaves had become mammies to their children and wet nurses. And I thought, well, if I'm feeling the other side of that, why aren't you feeling the other side of that? Why is it that
Mm.
that is still in the space and it's not being owned? Your ancestors are asking for you to help them shift that, to move that, so that the lineages can be clear. And it's like
Right.
no one wanted to look at that or speak about it or acknowledge that there was a privilege that came with that, and that in doing that they sacrificed their sense of motherhood and lost the sense of nurturing their children, and also lost the sense of nurturing themselves in a deeper way. It was like another severance of the mother, of the
Mm.
nourishment of life. And so all these things that have collectively created mother wounds, collectively created sisterhood wounds, were still dancing in the space, but no one wanted to speak to them in relevance to race. And I was like, this has to stop, because until we do that, we're going to keep seeing the reflection of it out in the world. And there's going to be wars against nations and whatever else. And this is exactly what's happening because we are not claiming the energy and the essence. We're not cleaning house.
Yeah.
All
So what
consciousness, all energy is already here. It just needs alchemizing into a different form. And if we're not doing that, and it doesn't mean that we have to spend years, it just means, like we did in the space,
yeah.
you centered the black brown and indigenous women in the space, and all the white women sat behind and listened and heard our stories. And in that process, things began to shift, things began to alchemize. I mean, there were some big things that happened in the room, but there was also just this sense of, oh, now we are tending to our ancestors, we are releasing them. It's not just about building an altar, it's about actually feeling what is in the space, because it's there, it's alive. Earth, the land, the buildings all carry energy and ancient energy of the things that happened on the land. And we were speaking earlier about just why ice is all these places. And when you said it, I just thought, oh my God, it's all the places where, the indigenous land was still. And I was like, what is, again, that about? And again, it's that thing of, because they know those lands have high energetic portals, you know? It's not a coincidence, and we need to rebalance that. And I know once, and I speak to the women first because the men have a different role to play. They are guardians of the land, but women are the alchemizers of it. That's how I see it, because we have a direct ability to plug into the cosmos through our wombs. When women gather together, we sync up. Our bodies do it naturally. It's not, just that's an exciting woo-woo thing. No, there's an actual technology to the body of why it's doing that. And we knew that. We used to do that together. We used to be able to come together and potently alchemize space and rewrite it to what we need it to be. We set the tone of the space. But because we've come away from that, it's become a free-for-all.
Right. Yeah. Wow. It's like a lot. I'm like, whoa. But yes to all of it. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I'm just still stuck on the part with the womb and it just going womb right to the cosmic source and it being the technology to it all.
Yeah.
You know?
So in my book, I write about the technology of the womb, and I also write about pussy, because we have kind of congobulated them both together and they both play a different role.
Yeah.
The womb is like the cauldron where we kind of plug in, but we need that kind of sensual, erotic, innocent impulse of the heat of our sexuality as women. And we've been conditioned out of that for so long that it's almost like we've got so many conditions now with the woo and with the pussy, that it is, like labia cancer is on the right because we're not fully connected to the body. So I talk about that in the book about why it's so imperative important. And I also have recorded some transmissions, like meditations and activations for women to follow that read the book. So if you get the book, you can either message me or because it was out as an offer, but I'm going to open a space next month, which has all come about because of one of the other women that was there at that thing. Okay, again, got in contact with me and just said, I want women to read this book and I want them to gather. So we're going to gather and we're going to do the practices together and we're going to speak about the things in the book and we're going to really get women to understand the fullness of their body and have the support to really take ownership and
that's
and
exciting. And I know we had talked about you coming in and bringing some of this wisdom and the embodied and liberated immersion that we're hoping to launch this fall and to share some of these practices. What would be some of I know you mentioned before, like the men play a different role.
Mm-hmm.
What role do men play?
Okay. So I write a lot also in the book briefly about men because they've kind of had a hard rap because they've been kind of stuck in with the patriarchy. The patriarchy to me is an entity, it's a thing that has taken over and it's affected both men and women. And it's affected men in a different way, as in it's cut them off from their hearts and so an emotion so that they have become hardened and they've forgotten that they are protectors. They are guardians of the land. They are protectors of men, women, and children. In a sense of not in the way where it's become now control over, but just knowing that there is a reverence that needs to be because we all were birthed out of the female body. Not one person came on this planet without coming through the vessel of a woman, but then women get treated like shit. It's like, enough. You are not
Yeah.
here to extract. You are not here to rape, pillage the body, use the feminine resource to better yourself in your life and then leave them destitute and unable to function fully in this world because they're not supported, looked after, don't feel safe, have to guard themselves, have to suppress their energy, their sexual potency, their sensuality, their radiance in order to just survive. It's like, have we lost the plot? And so I
Right.
write about that as in the vision that I was given of the mother world around where the men become the guardian and the women are able to bring through the nurses for the betterment of the collective and everyone feels safe in their bodies and loved. And so the men have a journey of coming out of their logic into their hearts and connecting their sexual essence to the heart, because if they don't, they could become almost, I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to use the word anyway, predatory, because it then becomes that they want the essence of the feminine, but they don't know how to to hold it or have it.
Yeah.
They want to take it rather than revere it and allow it to come to them. And so I write about that around how that happened when we stopped connecting. When boys get to a certain age, we kind of withdraw touch, and the only then way that they can get touch is through sexual contact rather than like the radiance of woman, just being woman. It becomes a sexualized thing. And so retraining the body to come into the heart for
Mm.
men and retraining women to come into the center of gravity, which is their wombs, and
I mean,
really
this
understanding that
this
as a
is
concept.
so important, because
Yeah.
it just brings me several things. One, I just feel like I was getting visions as you were talking about the men, and
Mm.
just I feel like it was getting flashbacks of like
Yeah.
seeing men in a different time and era, but I'm seeing like 8 to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I'm not seeing like this is like something that's only happened in the last like two
Mm-hmm.
thousand years. I feel like it goes farther
Yeah.
that we have to remember, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing it just brings back memories of like being a teenage girl and thinking that, or even in my early 20s, thinking that the only thing men ever want from me was sex or money
Mm-hmm.
because I had my own business. And I'm like, but the only thing I was ever good for in society was that. And I used to think that sex was love also because how I was sexually assaulted, as a young girl. So I was like, being conditioned to think sex was love, I had to really rethink what is love?
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
is love, right?
Yeah.
And how do we move forward? So what would be if you could think, we talked so many different topics, and I think maybe circling back to the women's circle concept, right? Or because I think the women's circle in itself can be broadened into daily life and how we function. But what would be three things that you think we should be able to do today to strengthen the bond of how we show up in circles or how we bridge people together in a much
Mm-hmm.
stronger way? Like I'm trying to think of like different things of like of what it is that we need to do to really come when we say we're yes, united, and we need to be together, and but I'm really not seeing it. I'm seeing it very surface. Like, I miss the days too of like being able just to drop by somebody's house and saying, "Hey, come down and have a cup of tea." Like, when was the
Yeah.
last time we've done that? But how do we bring communities together cross cultures? Like, what would be some of the things that you would say we need to do, or tips that what we need to do, or things we need
Okay.
to unpack? Like, what would that look
It's
like?
hard to say because everything's different, but I will just say this, that we need to stop thinking we need fixing. We've fixed enough now. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We've got to a point now where it's like we need to move to the next phase and to look at one another as competent and whole, and that we have the capacity to hold big emotions, because that's what's stopping us from moving into these states where we actually listen and hear somebody. Because before we start, we're already in overprotection mode of, well, I need to have all the circumstances right, or I need to, feel a certain way, or I need to be able to know that I'm not going to get triggered. You're going to get triggered. We've all been wounded, so you're going to get triggered. It's just how life is right now. It's what we were birthed into. It's like there's not a
Absolutely.
one of us that's not being triggered. I mean, wounded. So it's like we just have to know, okay, so this is where we're at. That is going to sting like taking a plaster, like you said, but it's going to be fine because we can hold it. And we can come knowing with that gnosis in our body that as women, we have the capacity to shift. It's like every month we shift states of being. It's not a set state of being. So therefore, when we feel things, we can move it. It's energy that wants to be released in the body. So you need to, again, number two, start looking at yourself beyond the physical, beyond the stories, beyond this is what made me here. Before you were made here, you were a soul. You were a soul birthed into a body. So there was a whole story before that. And within one of my programs, I do a meditation around that, and I'm going to offer that in the space when we talk about the book, because it's really important to remember that if this resonates for you, and I'm not going to say it's going to resonate for everybody because not everybody is meant to be an awakener, but if this resonates, that that you came in with directives, a blueprint, a divine assignment for this time, you will feel it, you will know it in your body. And if you have, then it is now time to stop whirling in the story. The stories are not you, they happened. And now we have to turn them into the fuel that is needed to shift this time. To shift. I was going to swear then. This motherfucking shit. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like, it's just time. And to remember that we are not doing this alone.
No.
It feels alone when we go into circle with the story of, oh, we need to be suspicious of one another. I could have gone with
I
that
mean, I
story
feel
and
like you're
thought,
reading my mind, because I feel like I've been, I mean, yes.
yeah, it's like we need to just start and just know that if we've come together now, it's for a reason. And that was the whole shift in that circle. It was, I haven't come to make friends. I've come to do something, because I can tell you, spirit would not have made that work, bum, 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 for me to get there. It was like so divinely aligned for me just to like make new friends. It wasn't. It was, we are creating the grid. We are laying the foundation for what's to come. And if we
Oh, I
don't,
like
then
that.
there's
We're
going to
laying the
be,
grid.
yeah, if we
We're laying the
don't, then there's
grid.
going to be just more turbulence, because it's like, imagine an essence, an energy, a force of nature coming in and having nowhere to plug in. It's going to flipping, of course, it's going to send us off kilter. But imagine if we remember that we are the vessels that this energy is asking to move through. If we allow ourselves to have space in our bodies, if we let go of all the nonsense that we've been told about ourselves and give it room, then oh my God, I feel excitement in my body when I
right?
think like that, because I know the vision that I hold, and I know the vision of so many women now that hold are anchoring this in because we know it to be true, because we feel it in our bodies. We don't need evidence. We're not here to be evidence driven. It's nonsense. We live
Yeah.
in an energetic sphere, you
We
know,
are
and so
we're entering a different time for
a
sure. I
very
mean,
different time.
and I think I agree with, like, we've done enough. Like, I even see some of the things on social media. I'm like, we already know what's wrong. Like, can we just stop
Yeah.
posting with what's wrong and start
Mm.
focusing on the solutions?
Yeah,
Like,
because
we already
if we
know what's
don't,
wrong.
we're fueling the distortion. That's why another reason distortion is like so in our face is because we need to turn 180 into the direction where we're going and speak that into existence. Not what's been, like you said, what's been is what's been. We've played this story over and over and over again in humanity. We know it inside out. There is no other variations. It's like we can't destroy ourselves any more than we have done already, because we've done this over lifetimes as well. And so it's like, let us now have a consensus that we are bringing in the imprint of a remembrance of when we were full, human, loving, energetic beings. And we treated and loved each other with kindness, with compassion, with respect, with honesty, with truth. When we could feel each other's emotions, so we didn't have to lie to each other. When it felt safe just to be able to say, do you know what? I'm feeling shit right today. It doesn't mean anything bad about it. It just needs, can you witness me in my emotion? Can you be, you know, the thing that activates me into a remembrance? Or can you be, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, there's a word and it always like eludes me. But it's like when a child is learning something new, because we are like spiritual children right now, and we need a spiritual adult. It's like a child always like comes and shows, look what I've done, look what I did. It's like it's not a sense of validation, but it's a sense of affirming, yes, you can do it. And from this point on, I am just looking at women now and affirming that you already know, and I'm going to speak to you like you already know. And that is the remembrance, you know.
That is so, like, I'm just digesting what you just said. It was so powerful. Yeah, we have to remember, and you're right, we already know. It's
Mm-hmm.
already encoded in our DNA. We already know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, when are we going to get out of our head and start,
Mm-hmm.
and turn the TV off, by the way, turn the news off, like,
Mm-hmm.
really get down to
Yeah.
brass tacks and just start remembering.
Yeah.
We keep saying we want, but we're not
No,
taking
the
the steps
mind
into doing it.
will take you on a journey where we're not going. And when you said that we already know, it's like what came to me is, you know, when a child is learning to walk or talk, it doesn't
Yeah.
think, oh shit, I need to study this for, or I need to understand. It happens because it's encoded.
Yes,
It's
perfect
it's
analogy.
primal, it's instinctual, and this is what we've forgotten, that everything we need is already programmed in our bodies. We just need to get still enough to hear it, to listen it, which is why my work is all about embodiment, getting in the body. And it seems so simple because it's just breathing techniques and sensing yourself and just being with yourself and touching yourself, and just the things of remembering that this is a vessel and being activated by remembrance of stories. But it feels simple, but it's like life really is simple when we
Yes.
allow ourselves to be led by the body.
Well, it also reminds me of, like, when you were talking about the brain. There's a reason why, like, when we study anatomy and physiology and stuff, and they go, there's the old brain and the new brain. It's the old brain we have to remember. That's the part that's reigniting, right? The old brain is what holds all the stories, like our ancestors, our
Mm-hmm.
all those things that go way, way, way back. That's all what's flowing. All our ability, like, you're right, like, knowing how to walk, knowing how to talk, and the concept of language all happens because it's instinct in a way,
Yeah.
right? And I think that is the part that we have to remember.
Yeah. Because a lot of the work that people do in the spiritual communities around um, healing the wounded child, but then they forget about the divine child that's already imprinted in, that was never harmed, never like distorted, never. It's in us. That internal flame, eternal flame, is always in us. It's there. It's just got covered up with lots of nonsense and stories and unfortunate events and experiences that harmed us and taught us to mistrust ourselves. And but underneath all that is our truth, the truth of
Yeah.
who we are. And I wouldn't want anyone to go to the extremes that I went to find that out. Which is why
I get
there's
you this
people
one,
like
right?
us. Which
Right?
is why there's people like us that are like sounding boards and guides to say, okay, it doesn't have to be that hard of a struggle, you know?
No.
It doesn't have to
I
be
always
that
say,
big.
yes, I might be prepared for what's here.
Mm,
I might be seeing that I was meant for the times we're in, but I agree. I would not recommend the path that I went down to get here.
yeah. Some of us, yeah, have come to go through some gnarly crap to 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 bridge where we're going. And I only just feel now that I am becoming the bridge. I'm strong
Yes.
enough to be that bridge and say the things that are necessary and do the things that are necessary, because, like you said, it has been a journey and a half to get
Right?
here. Oh my goodness! Wow,
I
wow.
so loved having you on. What is the
Mhm.
best way for folks to find you if they want to either get your book or work with you? What is the best way that they can find
Before I
you?
do that, can I
Yeah,
read the last transmission in the book?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, so this is the last transmission. So for each little part, a transmission came through, and this is the last one. Dear woman, we are in a collective soul revival, a revival of the true feminine soul essence, the loss of which caused the closing down of humanity's compassionate heart. This is our revival, the revival of the sacred codes of woman, a remembrance that as woman, when we are connected to womb, to pussy, to heart, we are invincible. The body of woman is needed. We are the gateways to other realms. Through the portal of our wombs, we begin to be the living technology, and together we are resurrecting the lost codes of the feminine. They are streaming onto and up through the planet. Know that there are many ways to express the feminine as there are people. Not everyone is going to like the message that you bring, but enough will. In order to bring about a movement of change, own your fears and lean into the truth and faith of who you are. And together we will resurrect the true essence of the mother, because together we are digging for mother's bones.
Wow, that just gave me full body shivers. Like, that is so beautiful.
Thank you
And
so
so
much.
true. I mean, the one thing, I know we from our prior conversations is the one thing I love is I'm done with sugarcoating anything. I think we're so
Hmm.
beyond all that. I'm like I'm here for like here's the truth. This is what we need. Like and this is let's move
Hmm.
forward. Like
Yeah.
and I think that's what is needed. I think sometimes the over niceness of things, even though being nice and compassionate, but there's a difference between niceness
Mm.
and niceness from a sense of putting on a
Yeah.
mask, right?
Yeah.
Versus having compassion and seeing each
Mm.
other, right? They're two
Yeah.
different things. And facing the hard truths, which I have
Mm.
been saying for a long time, facing hard truths, seeing the divinity within you, and taking, that's where the the shedding of the snake was really profound. It's, but I think it's more than just that 1 year. Here's the snake shedding. It's bigger than that. That was just a catalyst, and I think the horse on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. It's like we are still energetically in the end part of the year of the snake. We haven't even hit the fire horse yet.
yes,
Like it's already heating up. So it's like, yeah, we're being squeezed through the eye of the needle right now. And many things can't come, but once we're on the other side of that, like you said, it's like it's action time. And so yeah. So people can find me either on Facebook or what's the other one? Instagram under Creatively Coco. And my website is also Creatively Coco. And you can find the link to my book there, or you can find it via the Womancraft Publishing website, which I think I've given you the link from to get a
yes.
signed copy.
Yes, and everything will be in the description of the
Yeah.
podcast. And thank you so much for being on here.
You are
And
so
for those,
welcome.
if you liked this episode, please hit the share button. Please leave a comment, give us some feedback. If there's topics or guests you would like to have us, please drop them in the comments. Again, drop them in the comments. Share. We are not commercially funded, and so also hitting the subscription button would really help us with our reach. And until next time,
Okay. Can I
we
just
sign
ask,
up.
where is it
Sure.
shared?
It's shared worldwide.
As in, what platforms is
Oh,
it? Yeah.
I have it through Buzzsprout, but it's on Apple,
Okay.
YouTube,
Okay.
whatever all those streaming platforms
Oh, nice.
are. So yeah, all yeah, all of them that I can think of. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, was it iHeartRadio, I think, and was it Apple? I'm trying to remember all of them because I'm like techie, not the best, but
It's,
I know
it's
I know we're
as
plugged
long as I
in.
know that there's some links that I can get to share, like
Oh,
YouTube and like,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
things for
yeah,
people.
absolutely. But until next time, we'll see you on Triggers and Spiritual Medicine. Bye, everybody.